All right, guys. So thank you for coming to my session, and more importantly, thank you for having me here. It's my first time in Europe in general, much less Italy, and at a European event, and it's been I've been feeling very welcome, and it's been a lot of fun. And even though some of you I've known for quite a while, so I really appreciate it. Now, one of the things that I do want to put out there is, for something that might be the best question, I do have a nice little lunchbox, so you can take this to work. It has a nice little thermos inside. It also says Hotcakes. And I have some booklets here. Feel free to take multiple if you'd like, because I'm not taking them home. They will go into the trash or the recycling if you do not take them. So they have a lot of information in there. They don't have anything about our recent releases since, well, actually, for like the last 8 months, but they do have pretty much everything else in there. And we have some nice stickers for you and some business cards if you want to get in touch with me later. And for that matter, I do expect that at least a couple of you would like to know more information than what I'm going to be able to cover in this hour. And so, for the rest of the afternoon, feel free to, maybe we can go in the lobby or something like that and talk about anything else that you'd like to talk about. Anything else that you want to see that I wasn't prepared to show you today. Or at least during this hour. So, to that end, let's go ahead and get started. So this is what we're going to kind of cover. I'm going to do a quick introduction of myself and what Hotcakes is, because I know it's new to a lot of people, even though we've been around for a little bit. And then going to go over some of the core values and why Hotcakes even exists. And then final Q&A. Now, that being said, at any given point in time, please do speak up if you have any question whatsoever. And I want this to be interactive. I want you guys to get what you need out of it. So feel free, raise your hand, tell me whatever question that you have. All right, so who am I? Well, I guess you know a little bit about me already from what happened, but basically I run the day-to-day operations of Hotcakes. We do have a team, and I run the development team, and I run all the client and partner relationships as well. So among other things, I have been published for DNN content, founder of DNN Con, as I said before, former president of the Orlando User Group. I have quite a few open source modules out there, and if anybody wants to help me keep them up to date, feel free to let me know. There's a lot of them. And former DNN Corp employee and now MVP. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. So that's basically it about that. Now, one of the things I do want to kind of harp on is this is not me. This is a team of people. This is a real company. I can't get everybody up here because not everybody has a company photo, but I do have most of the people up here. We do have marketing, we do have designers, we have developers, we have QA. We have a real team effort here. Our customer base that we're targeting would require that. We're definitely looking at the larger type of store implementations. That being said, any store of any size can be run by Hotcakes, but not every store wants to pay for an enterprise level not content management system. I had 3.5 years of saying that. E-commerce platform. All right, so that's us. So the architecture, I get this question a lot, especially when I'm talking to customers. The first thing is, well, which DNN can you run it on? And the answer is any of them. You can run it on platform, you can run it on any of the Evoke solutions, but that being said, we do have capabilities that if you are running Evoke Social by any chance, you will have additional functionality that will be exposed to you inside of Hotcakes. And that functionality is very, very empowering. So think about you coming into, you having a business, and you might have a community on your website, like just very much like on DNN Connect, people are talking about stuff. And on that day, all of a sudden, people are talking about this new camera that you are about to release. Well, then you can go tag that particular product, and now it's showing up with the content. And so people right directly from their conversation can get directed to that particular product that you're trying to push forward. Or think about something else in that community. You have somebody you might call an MVP. They're really helpful with helping people with questions, giving people ideas, and things like that. And then over time, they build up enough content to maybe earn a badge. And earning a badge is one thing, and it shows up in their profile. That's nice. But at that point, you can use that to offer them discounts, because what they're essentially doing for you is offsetting your support costs. You're not having to go there and answer every single question. They're doing that for you. So why not give them a 5 or 10% discount based upon their activity? So there's those types of functionality and features that are available to you if you happen to go and use Evoke Social. There's no additional functionality with Evoke Content, since it's basically DNN platform with like workflow and stuff on top of it. All right. Hello, move forward. There we go. So beautiful results. One of the things I'm going to show you is how you can get the beautiful results. But basically, with Hotcakes, you can basically the way that you can make it look is only limited by your creativity. So if you have some fantastic designers, like for example, the one on the left there, TP Therapy, and I have the live development side up right on my browser. I'll show you. But they were introduced to Hotcakes a few weeks ago, and they already have almost a complete store up that is using pretty much every contemporary design technology you can think of, where things are flying in from different places. It's, some of the pages are even kind of parallax and things like that, and it's all built using Hotcakes and DNN. So we have some awesome system implementers. I didn't have a chance to get another logo on there because there's no Wi-Fi. Sorry, there should be at least 2 European logos up there. But we have quite a few people that are already implementing and rolling out websites. But the point is, it's very easy for you to take and deliver to a customer, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. So here's our core values. So we're moving on in our agenda, getting closer to a demo. So one of the things that we found, and then the primary reason that Hotcakes even exists is, most of you probably already know, e-commerce in DNN is hard. It's very, very hard. And in some cases, not possible, all right? I shouldn't say not possible, maybe very, very expensive, right? So the reason that is most e-commerce solutions, and not just in DNN, this is across the e-commerce industry, they focus on 1, maybe 2 or 3 different stakeholders that are part of a website, an e-commerce website. And we have 4 core values where we focus on all 4 of them. So the first one is an engaging customer experience. Everybody gets that, right, to certain degrees. And that's really important, because you need to get somebody to the point of giving you their money with the very minimum amount of clicks. And we focus on that with things like responsive design, with single-page checkout, and so on. And then there's the merchant experience. I should probably put that as the last bullet from now on, because that's the most important one. That's the one where almost every single solution that there is that exists out there, they forget. It's very difficult for somebody that is an administrator of a site, that because somebody that's part of not one of you guys, because you guys are all DNN folks, but somebody that's an administrator of a site in a business, to be able to manage a product even in some cases, or to create a promotion. And so we did a lot of work in making sure that that's an intuitive experience, so somebody can just pick it up with very little or no training at all. It's all point and click. And then happy designers. We want designers to be able to make this look pretty. And so designers can customize 100% of everything that the customer sees. Everything. And not having to use tokens, sorry Peter, but using standards that they can, if they needed to ask questions, they could come to us, but they can go to Stack Overflow or Google, and they can figure out how to do that, and I'll show you. And then productive developers. And so pretty much everything in the DNN space does cater to developers, but we'd like to think that we took a better approach at it in terms of making sure that they're productive. And so not only do we have really specific extension points that people can take advantage of to integrate different things, to interrupt workflows and things like that, but also to integrate with things like a REST API. And we give a sample solution to you, so you don't have to figure it out and read all the documentation and then start from scratch. We give you a solution. You just add it to your website, you add your snippets of code for the other API, build it, move the DLL, you're done. All right? Are there any questions so far on the core values? No? All right. So the customer experience, so I already mentioned this a little bit, but basically it's responsive to start. And so without you having to do anything, it's already responsive out of the box. You don't have to lift a finger. All you have to do is make it look pretty. Add your CSS, add your images and whatnot. And so we're using Bootstrap, and so we're not using anything crazy. We're using a standard, and so most designers, they know what Bootstrap is. Love it or not, they know how to design for it. I mentioned single-page checkout before. That's very, very important because most checkout processes out there, and again, I'm not going to be talking about DNN specifically. I look at the entire industry because that's what the customer's looking at. When customers come to DNN, they're not like, what's the best DNN module? When customers come to DNN, when we're involved, they're looking for, okay, how am I going to do this? Because it's either we're going to do it with a DNN module or we're going to do it with something else next to DNN. And so we're trying to keep everything in DNN. All right? And then we have faceted search. So when somebody searches for something, they don't just land on a list of results, but they can then filter those results. And based upon attributes of the products, based upon price, based upon vendors, manufacturers, and so on. And we took that a step further in our last release, about a month ago, where we did that for the categories as well. So just like when you go to Amazon and you end up on a list of products in a category, you can check boxes to filter those out. You can do that very same thing within your categories now, or your end users can. And of course, I mentioned socially integrated. The merchant experience. So it has an intuitive administration. I mentioned that before. The order administration. This is really important because you can be able to take orders over the phone or whatnot. You can administrate the orders. So if your customers call in, you can go and change the orders on the fly. You can change how it's shipping. You can change the payment methods. You can do all those things within the administration. And you can even change the administrative duties. So that's actually another bullet point here. So you can decide these groups of people can do everything in the store, and these other groups of people only can do products, and this other group of people can only do orders. So you can segment out that administration. And then there's most of everything that you can do in the UI for the customers can be done through administration, even though it's all templated. And we do have a native iPhone app. So if you want to, so basically the iPhone app is not for the customer, it's for you as an administrator or as a store owner, a merchant. You can manage all your orders and shipping from your phone. Yes, sir?
I haven't looked at that recently, but the iPhone app is not available on some of the European stores. Is it available now?
I was not aware it wasn't available in some of the European ones. I'll look into that.
Well, I was only checking on the German one and it was not on there. So I think if you don't have a US iTunes account, you cannot even download it.
That's something I was not aware of. I'll definitely look into that. We definitely want to make that available to you.
Okay.
Except for Peter. As soon as he gets something other than Visual Studio 2010, we'll... All right. So I'm going to do a real quick demo of the end user experience, and then we'll move on to design and development. All right. I feel like I should be playing piano or something like this. All right, so before I do that, I did want to bring up this website. So this is a website called TriggerPoint. It should go live in the next 30 days or so. It's built on Hotcakes, and I think it's DNN platform, if I remember correctly. I don't believe it's any of the Evoke solutions, but it wouldn't matter. So I'm refreshing. I know I'm on Wi-Fi, and I do not know why this opened back up. Okay, it's gone. Well, I'll wait for that to come back. So the demo website I like to do demos on is public to everybody. So if you go to social.hotcakesdemo.com, not right now, you can look at this one, but on your own, feel free. You can go ahead and play with it and see the user experience all that you want. And TriggerPoint came back. So they're using a lot of contemporary techniques to bring in different types of content, and they've done some really cool things with the shopping. So they've integrated their products into their menu system. They also, when you go into different products, they've integrated their YouTube channel with it. So they're bringing in relevant videos for particular products as part of their media. Actually, I should probably go into rollers. It's a little bit more complete. They also, that's weird. They also integrated an ERP called NetSuite. So they're completely integrated with a back-end system. We have another customer who's integrating with something called Shift4, so they're going to basically have their brick and mortar stores and their online store both connected to the same inventory and payment system. So when something gets sold in the store or on the online store and vice versa, all the inventory is live updated. It's very easy for them to do that. So let's see here. So let's go to like a grid roller. So that's a great question. Has nothing to do with hotcakes, but it's a great question, Peter. And no, you do not win the lunchbox. No, so if you're not familiar with what a grid... Yes. I'm sorry? How much time? So I was supposed to stop at 5? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll bring this up because I'm going to lose track of that if I don't have it up. All right. Okay, so a grid foam roller. So people that are athletic, like in the sense of like a triathlete, and people that do things like CrossFit and stuff like that, they use those to kind of massage their muscles to get the blood flowing and to prevent them from things like cramps and stuff like that. I've actually been to like one of those boot camps and used these and felt really dumb, but people love them. I don't know. They're not for me, but they're for other people. But anyway, just to, they're a live example to show that you can do things like switching with variants and having different colors for your variants and using those to change prices and usually the product image. But for some reason, it's not doing that in their site here. But they basically customize the templates completely to basically match something that a designer, they had no idea what solution they were going to be doing when they did the mock-ups. And so like they were able to use the flexibility of our view sets, our views, to be able to create this solution. So I'll get out of that. All right. So real quick, I'm going to go through the end user experience, and I'm not going to go through it in great depth because I'd like to get to showing you some code because I know we're mostly developers and things in here. So we have this. It's not Awesome Cycles, but it's Social Spokes. So it's a store with real inventory. We have a store that's in the U.S. that gave us all their inventory and images to allow us to have a catalog for demonstration purposes. But I'm just going to go ahead and purchase something real quick. I thought. There it goes.
That's on the internet, right?
It is on the internet. So if this continues for the next moment, I'm just going to switch over to a demo store instead of, or to a local demo store. It's not going to look as pretty, but I think you'll get the point. Yeah, I don't have enough patience for that. So let me go ahead and. You know what's ironic? It'll be actually faster for me to spin up the site than to wait for that page to load. So right now it's coming up, and so basically you can see that we can have favorite products, and so products can be featured. They're highlighted when they're on sale, and of course you can change how all these look. You can see within a category there's a product list, and then as we start to move through into a category and go into something like the details for a product, that is not coming up. All right, since it came up here, because the responsive is going to be mostly useful on an actual product, on an actual store. So I just wanted to show you responsive real quick before we move to a local demo site. But as we start to move through it, this is all already baked into Hotcakes without you having to do anything. You can see that the images, they moved up to the top. We can move, oops, didn't mean to do that. And as we scale out to things like a tablet size and a desktop size, it automatically works. The menu system, of course, becomes a touch-friendly menu. The search moves. Some of the things like the ratings and the choices and attributes, they move below the particular picture. You can see there's a description. There's the associated or related products, and that's actually a really important thing for me to highlight. Of course, you can, associate a product like you would imagine. You can go to a product and say, hey, this product has these other related items. But this will automatically populate based upon other customers' purchases. So if you're on a product and that product has been part of purchases by other customers, and they purchase other products as part of their cart, those will start to show up here. So you don't have to actually do anything for your related products to be populated. Hotcakes will do that for you. All right? Based upon actual customer purchases. So there's reviews, of course, and there's the things we call info tabs, and so that's basically free-form tabs where you can put anything you want in there. So usually it's like some sort of specifications, right? So I'm going to stop doing that real quick, and I'm just going to go ahead and spin up a new site. I can't do it on my demo site because I'm going to kill my demo if I do that. So real quick, I'm just going to install a site. I don't know, has anybody seen this tool I'm using right now?
No.
So there's a guy in the Orlando user group. He doesn't do DNN anymore because he's a video game tester now. He does that in ice skating. So anyway, in Orlando, so that's weird. Anyhow, he built this in C++, but basically for, I'll call this Peter. Basically, this takes all the time and effort out of putting a site up, so I can do this in the amount of time it takes me to tell you where it is, versus me having to go and open up IIS and all those things. So basically, it's now putting everything in the right place and be able to click through and get through the demo. So the beautiful thing about what's going to happen right now, thankfully, the happy accident, is I'm going to show you your first steps when you were to install Hotcakes. All right. Now that doesn't work. What's going on? It's a perfect storm. Yeah. All right, so it just did everything for me. IIS, SQL Server, permissions, all that fun stuff. And so for all my testing and my demos, this is how I do it. I would never do this on a production machine, ever, just because it adds some dependencies that you never want to deal with. Oh, and also, you notice I got peter.loc here. You know, I didn't have to put that in my host file. It just did that all that stuff for me. So you can literally put whatever URL you want there. You can put Google in there. You know. So it's spinning up. Yeah, so it's mikevdm.com if you want to play with that tool. It's very useful. I just keep it on my toolbar and click it all the time. And he likes to say that he does it on a beerware license. If you want to buy him a beer, he'll gladly accept it. All right, that's coming up in a moment. I'm not going to waste our time waiting for that to come up. So let me just talk about the designer experience. We'll come back to that, and then we'll do all the demos at once. All right, so the designer experience. So basically, I mentioned before, they have full control over the rendered HTML. But basically, we also give you a lot of things out of the box that you don't have to worry about. So if you want to have a fully responsive version of the of your view set, that's what we call it, because there's a bunch of views like we saw in the last couple things. You know, we have all these views that you can work with, and all of them together we call a view set. But basically, if you want one that's fully responsive, we give that to you. So in our documentation area, we have a couple different sample view sets. You just take those and you make them look whatever way you want. And you know, there's no other work. You don't have to create them from scratch. You can modify them to your heart's content. And then, of course, there's one that comes actually already pre-installed for you. So you also are able to redesign the implementation based upon data. It's really, really important. So, for example, if I want this particular template for a product to react differently if it's, you know, type A versus type B, it can completely change the design based upon that because it's using underneath MVC. You heard Sean talking about that stuff before. You know, so we basically we're kind of giving him a lot of that. We helped him with a lot of that work. We did a meeting with him recently to show him how we're doing it. So it's very similar, in fact, to how Too Sexy's doing it as well. But we got all the URL routing in there and everything. So you actually are using MVC when you're using this. All right, so it's MVC on top of web forms. But basically, you're able to use Razor, and within Razor, it exposes everything that you need and not tokens. It exposes all the properties of the products and the orders and things like that, and you'll have IntelliSense because all you have to do is type in the word model, hit the period, and you get all the properties listed for you. So even if you're a designer, you can write Razor and not even know how to program. We literally had like Trigger Point, that site. Those folks, they're PHP guys. They have no idea what Razor or Microsoft is. So, they were able to pick it up and build that within a week. All right, or actually, it's been 3 weeks now. So you're able to do that based upon all kinds of things. So you can override the views as well. So if you wanted a particular category to have a specific view, if it's this category or that category, or all products of this type to have a particular view, or this product to have multiple views, you can do that kind of stuff as well just by a configuration setting, but you would just create the different views. And so you can do things like A/B testing, and maybe you're doing software and physical products, and you definitely want to make those look different. And now you're also doing webinars. Those need a different look altogether. You can do all those things out of the box. You just add another view for those particular things. And there's also reusable content blocks. And so content blocks is kind of static content that you want to put above or below a particular category. And it can be pretty much any type of HTML you can think of. And then there's the developer experience. So we have partial views and controllers. So that's the kind of talking to the MVC side of things. So if you wanted to have your own partial view that's doing other things like bringing in related videos from YouTube that match your product, you can do those types of things. Or you can maybe, that's bringing in things from some proprietary system in the back end. You can integrate those things right into your views for your products and categories and things just by adding your own partial view. So you don't have to worry about like, hey, Hotcakes, I want to support this thing. No, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. We also have custom order workflows because there's no such thing as, well, there's very few instances of an e-commerce site that they just install it, they make it look pretty, and they're good. Almost every single e-commerce site that there is out there needs some sort of integration. Whether it's CRM, ERP, email, marketing, or whatever. And so one of the primary ways that people do this is through our custom order workflows. So at any given step of the order workflow, whether it's payment change, shipping changed, something goes on hold, the fraud alerts hit, or something like that, you can perform actions at that particular moment by inserting your own tasks. So they're basically events that you plug into. So you can do things like update an ERP system, or tell your ERP system to print a shipping label, or anything that you can think of. It's all code. So at that point, it's just whatever you think of. We also have something called the Action Delegate Pipeline. That's a very fancy way of saying that you can interrupt the workflow from getting from the product view to checkout. So for example, the most popular way that some of our customers are doing this right now is for the high volume websites that sell a lot of products and they go through it really, really fast. What they do is when somebody clicks Add to Cart, there's an event they plug into that says, wait, I know there was inventory when they were here before, but I'm going to go check inventory again. And if inventory is greater than 0, keep going. If it's not, I'm going to stop them and show a message. So you can do those types of things as well. And then of course we have a full REST API and a server-side API, so you can get to this via your regular code for REST calls, or you can even have client-side apps that are doing this as well. All right. So let's see if we can do all these demos now. Now that whoa, Peter, you're still not loading. Well, that's odd. So I'm going to do this all here. Let me see if it looks like I already have the Hotcakes installed here because I already have the menu system here. But oh, here we go. Wow, that took an excessive amount of time. And this is one of the fastest laptops I've ever used. I'll never call anything Peter again.
Well, do you see me move?
Yeah. All right, so we'll continue with that going on. And while that does that, I'll just give you a tour. The tour would have been much more useful in Social Spokes because there's actually live data from having done demos over and over again. So you see like products history and order history and things like that, and we can search. But unfortunately, the internet connection is limiting us. So there's a process that after you install a Hotcakes, you'll end up within the admin and the host menu a Hotcakes administration page. We'll do that for you. And the first time you go there, you're not going to see what you're going to see right now. This is this is the first thing people see once everything's configured. But what you'll end up on is a setup wizard. So I'm going to go under this admin menu and choose setup wizard. And this is where you go to when you first come into Hotcakes administration. It'll say, I know you haven't configured. I'm going to help you do this. And so you'll come in here. The only thing that's required here is to make sure that the store has an address. So there's a ship from. Then you click Save and Continue. The next step would be to go to Payment, and you choose whatever payment options you want, even plugging in whatever gateway that you want. So we have quite a few in here. I know that there's some European ones that we'll probably need to add, and so please on our website give us feedback on which ones are popular for you. We have an area where you can add suggestions, and the ones that are more popular, those are the features that we add in. And so we're using Evoke Social to do that. And so basically you can vote up ones that are already in there or add your own, and then other people can vote them up. So if it's really important to your company, add it and tell all your employees to vote it up. And then that'll get some more visibility for myself and the rest of the product team. All you'd have to do is add your payment. You add whatever shipping that you want. We're currently already integrated with USPS, FedEx, and UPS. But you can see there's lots of other shipping methods that you can add. You can do things even by formula. So you can do varying types of shipping that you want, and you can have multiple. You can create your own shipping zones and things and have your shipping and handling, and then you have taxes. And so we do have VAT support. You can see we can apply VAT right there. And something I failed to, actually I'm not sure if it's in any of these views. I'll point it out later. Anyway, on the taxes, you can see that I can manually add my tax tables here. So I can create my schedule and then add my taxes, or I can import them through REST. But the more important thing is that we have integration with Avalara, and so Avalara's support for Europe is gaining. It's really useful for North America, but in Europe they're gaining, and most of I guess the western side of Europe, they're pretty good. The eastern side of Europe, they're still working on. But basically, Avalara is something where you can integrate, or we have it integrated already. All you do is, if you have that service, you plug in your credentials, and it'll create the tax tables for you dynamically. It's a cloud service, and so it aggregates all that stuff and does all the taxes and stuff for you as well, and it has VAT and all that. And so we're a certified partner with them, and so we're fully integrated in all the right ways. It took a long time to get that certification, so we're very proud of that, and so that'll end up saving you a lot of time as well. And the last part is, if you, unless you're running under trial mode, like I clearly am here, you can log in. There's a single sign-on with the hotcakescommerce.com to go and input your license. So if this is a production environment, I'd go ahead and do that here, but I'm not going to. So that's all you would have to do to set it up, and then the first time you come into your store, you would go to your products page, and you could start adding your products. That's typically the first thing you want to do. You can see I have some products in here, but the first time you come in here, let me remove this real quick, and I want to get on to the technical demo. But the first time you come in here, this is what you would see. You'd see that, hey, you don't have any products in here right now. Go ahead and add some. Or do you want to add some, or do you want to add one? And so basically, if you're evaluating, you can click that button. It's going to add some categories, some reviews, some products, and so it'll make your evaluation a lot easier, so you can figure out what it does and does not do for you. Okay? So you can see that we have some products added, and so some of these are very simple. Other ones have varying attributes and variants, like this one. So, for example, this laptop, it has a particular price of $12.99, but if somebody was to choose a different variant, it might change in price. All right? And every single product, it can have additional images. It can belong to one or more categories. They could be software downloads. Products can even be membership products, so they could be something like purchasing access to the site. You can see that we have related items, so we can do that manually. There's inventory integration, so everything that you typically would need to have in a product. And then there's categories, and then there's product types. So product types is very powerful. So if I create a type of product, that allows me to say, okay, this segment of products have these attributes that always will be the case. So every single webinar is going to have a start date, a presenter name, maybe number of attendees, and then products that are of type software. Maybe every one of those is like number of licenses. And so you can group those all together in a way that allows you to do that, and then give them all the same view. So it makes it very easy for you to manage your store. Let's see here. There's marketing. So the promotions this is very useful to show you. So if we go to promotions, we can see that right now we don't have any, obviously, but we also have a loyalty program. So customers can earn points that could equate to money in your store, and you get to set those values and those thresholds. But if I want to create a promotion, you can see we have lots of templates already available for you, or you can start from scratch from a custom one. So if I want to create a custom offer, it can be any number of types of offers with as many rules as you want to put into it. So if I want to say any order, or when order totals are greater or equal to something, or maybe it's a coupon code or multiple coupon codes, I can set those up. And clearly, anybody with a mouse and a keyboard can do this. Right? And so if I were to say order total is greater or equal to something, I need to put a description. Let me say free shipping. There we go. Now, before I don't know how to spell English. There we go. Now, before I move on, I do want to point out this little world icon. You probably already noticed this a few times. That's for the localization. So everything that has a world icon, when I am in that language, you can see this drop down up here. When multiple languages are here, they'll be present. Whenever I'm in that particular language, it'll allow me to, whatever I save there will be for that language. So if I had Spanish chosen here, and I put the Spanish version of free shipping here, that would be what would be saved, and that would be what would be shown to the customer. All right? So we don't have multiple interfaces for that. Yes, sir?
What happens if you activate content localization in the host settings? Does that have any effect on the store?
So it could have an effect on the store, but also at the same time, it depends on how you do it, because you can, when you do that type of localization, you have a choice on what things you want to take advantage of that. In our particular scenario, you don't want to use that for this module. It would be bad in a couple ways. One, things wouldn't work quite the way you expect. It would still work though. And the other thing is you probably end up with a licensing error. It'd say, hey, you need to buy another license, buddy. And it will gladly accept that license fee, but you don't do that. All right, so let me go ahead and create this order total. So let's say somebody, if they order more than $100 worth of products, we can go ahead and do other actions. And I can add more qualifications, so I can stack them up. So you can get very specific with the rules you want to build. And so at this point, what I can do, since I called it free shipping, I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to adjust the shipping by. And at this point, I'm going to say minus 100%. And at this point, anything that qualifies with basically a cart that has, I didn't enable it. As my team would say, it's disabled. All right. And there's a start and end date. I didn't set that, but you can set that as well. But by default, it's 1 year. But now we have an active promotion that is free shipping. So if I were to add enough products to my cart to be above $100, now somebody would qualify for free shipping, and they would automatically get that. And then you can have as many promotions as you want. You can make them exclusive from each other. So everything, again, can be done with the mouse. Now there's also robust order management, and so you can see that you can get to views, shortcut views, just by using the menu items, or you can get to those same things using the navigation area on the left. But at this point, if I had an order in here, I can go directly into the order and start to manage it, all the details about it. And we'll get an order in here in just a second. So let me go ahead and do that, to go ahead and show that off real quick. So let me go ahead and by the way, these pages that are in here in this menu, when I went through that wizard, it added all those for me. So at this point, if you're developing on this, at this point you'd say, okay, I want these pages to be visible or not, or I don't want them at all, or I want to move them into other areas, like for example, order history. You might want to call that My Orders and put that in the profile. All right, and so when somebody logs in, they can go there and they can see all the orders that they have. They can click on the view and see the current status of the order, any order notes that you might have added as an administrator to let them know, hey, this is going to be late, or thank you for ordering this, or whatever notes that you put into it. But let me go ahead and go to the category viewer. And So the default views, you can see I have a category menu on the right. You can change everything about that, of course. Category viewer on the left. And I have some products that are just shown here by default. Of course, you can change all those things. This is just how it comes out of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and order a purple shirt because I think this will look great on me. You agree? All right. So you can see there's ratings in here just like we saw before. I'm just going to keep the small because that's my size. Now that one got a laugh, really? Didn't I just add that to cart? Oh, it's still thinking. I might not have let the page load before. Oh, sharing's turned on right now. So actually I clicked it before I should have because the page wasn't completely loaded yet. All right, so social sharing is enabled by default. That's something you can disable if you want. And you can add any type of social sharing that you want since it's all a template. All right, so we can get to a shopping cart. At this point, we can add promotional codes, we can keep shopping, or we can check out. And so I'm going to check out real quick. And this is not licensed, and so this has a little thing that says, hey, by the way, you're not licensed yet. All you do is click refresh, and you keep going. Now, this is your single-page checkout. So at this point, because I'm logged in, it's not giving me any way to choose how to log in or not, so I'm going to log out. Now that I logged out, I can choose to create a new account, I can choose to log in, or I can choose a guest checkout. So I'm going to choose guest checkout. And once I exit that field, something it does for me, you can see that it's found a user account that matched that email address. And so it's not going to require me to log in, but it's saying, hey, you do have a user account over here. Are you sure you're not wanting to log in? And so it's giving them a little friendly prompt to do so, because a lot of stores, what they end up with a lot of times is duplicate records for customers. And so this helps to try to alleviate that. But I'm just going to go ahead and finish this. Oh, actually, you know what I should have done? Oh, it's not doing it. It's not working. Oh, there it goes. All right. So I just auto-filled the form. Cool. All right. I forgot I had that. I just added that to my browser not long ago. So anyway, it just auto-filled it. So something that's really cool about this is we got this Visa thing, or the credit card thing. So what it does that really cool thing where it starts to know like what numbers you have in there to determine what the credit card is. And so it already knows that. I messed that up. So it already knows here that's a Visa. So it does that kind of usability type stuff as well. So I'm going to go ahead and place an order, and then I'll get to the development demo. All right, so they end up on the order summary page, and because it created an account, it gives them the option to set the account. Now, that's not going to work depending on how you have your DNS site set up. You might have to change configuration. So you can either choose to change the configuration or just remove this from your view. That's up to you. All right. But we have all these things in here, so this is basically what they'll see in their profile now as well. So I'm going to go ahead and log out, and you can see that it logged me in at that point, even though I chose a guest checkout. It created a profile for me. Forgot to point that out. So let me just show you the order management real quick, and then we'll move on. So even though I'm going to the host link for this, both pages lead you to the same place. You do not need host access. You just need admin access. And now you can see that because of the way I have this configured, that cell is already appearing in the grid. And so you'll always have a week-by-week indication of how your sales are doing, even though we have reports that will give you even more details about that. So it's a great kind of dashboard view on how your store is doing. Now, when an order's first in here, we can go to new orders. We can see it here. We can see that right now it's been paid. It hasn't been shipped, and it's not complete yet. So you have some iconography. Once you start to fill this up, you can at a glance see what your order statuses are. So if I click on details, at this point I can see everything about it. You can see the fraud checking saying it's low risk. You can see everything else in the order. You can see everything that's happened with the order. If you're talking to the customer over the phone, you can add a note, and then this would be a private one, or you can say something to the customer specifically in the public notes, and they will show up in their order summary as well. If you want to manage the payments, you simply go there, choose the method that you want to use, and you can see that this one already has been authorized. And so at this point, I can go ahead and accept the amount, and it'll become a complete order. So $47.93. I can capture the hold. Capture the hold. What's going on? Click. Oh, actually, it's already been done. That's why. So you can see the $0 amount. So at this point, we just want to do shipping, and it's a complete order. Now, that's great. So that's a merchant and customer experience. Let's go ahead and change some things. So we have these different products that we've been looking at. So I have Visual Studio over here, and I have a bunch of downloads that you would be able to find on our site. And so all you'd have to do is go to our Learn section. That's where our documentation is, and you can download any of these sample projects that you see on the left side here. So one of them is a sample, where'd it go? Sample ViewSet Visual Studio solution. And so we have a new one for every release, and so you can download it every time we have a release. We have another release coming first week of June. Well, it might slip to second week, who knows. But we can go ahead and open up this zip file, and you can see it looks somewhat like a project. There's a project file in there. We go to our website. So in this case, I've been going on DNN Connect website, and I just grab all the files from here, and I add them to my website. And now they're in my website. And so now all I have to do is I open up my project, and this is the same workflow for every single extension point. Now all I do is go to my website and open up that project or solution, and I can start to work with it. This is 2012. Can you see that okay? Even this, yeah, you can't see anything yet. All right, so we have a project in here. Now there's a README in here. So for the view sets only, one of the things that it's asking you to do is take this little bit of your of XML and go to your web.config and paste over it. Now the reason we do that, and only in your development environment, the reason we do that is to get IntelliSense. All I have to do is do that, and now for all the views that I want to manage, and I'll go ahead and go to my products view. So I could go ahead and start to drill down in portals. This is where we keep all the views. So every store can have their own views set. We have one called My View Set. I could change the name if I want. But I'm going to go ahead and come into the particular views for it. So you can see there's lots of views that you can change and lots of localization files and things. But the products view is the one I want to go into. And so I'm going to change the index one. And we're running short on time, so I'm just going to kind of do something a little bit more on the fly instead of the script I had planned. So I'm going to go ahead and put an H2 in here. There we go. And if I just did typed out the HTML, I'd end up like this. Now, any person that has to do in order to use this, and you might recognize this is MVC and Razor. But if all I have to do to use this, if all the designer needs to know is tell them, type in model, hit the period, and at that point, you can do anything that you want. Just read through the attributes and the properties and choose whatever you want. So at this point, I can choose bundled items. And so, well, actually, I don't want to do that for this particular one, but I'm going to go ahead and choose, let's do something that's initial quantity. So we'll do that in H2. But what I'm going to do as well is do something a little bit more dynamic. So I'm going to say if model.bundled items.count is greater than 0, I'm going to go ahead and do another H2. So I'm going to do 2 demos at once. There are bundled items. Oops, undo. And then right here I'm going to say there are not bundled items, and just save that. Now if I go back to my store, that's not going to be reflected yet, because there's just one other thing that you have to do. I don't even know why it's because of the sharing. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and open up the bracelet. And right now you're not going to see any of that on here, right? But if I go into my administration, and to save time, what I'm going to do is open up a new tab in here. all anybody has to do, so a designer can do this as well, is go to the admin menu, go to Views Manager, and just say, you know what, I'm not using the default, I'm going to use my view set. And so that basically inherits from the folder name, so whatever folder name you call it, it knows that, you choose that, and at this point, click Save Changes, and now you can use those particular views. And so if I go back over here and hit refresh, you can see that the minimum quantity is 1, and apparently there's not any bundled items. So there's product bundling, so if you want to do like kits and things like that, you can do those things as well. So it's that easy to start to make those changes, and so clearly this is just HTML with a little bit of kind of scripting added to it. So if you're not familiar with Razor, the first time you work with it, it is kind of unfamiliar, but I only started working with Razor like in January, and it's actually pretty awesome. You can do a lot of cool things with it. And so if you want to create your own views, your own partial views and include them, this line right there where it says HTML action, and I don't know if you can see it okay, let me, it's not letting me increase the size. Oh well. No one, 20. There we go. This line 3 here, that's all that takes. You just add your own view. That's a CSHTML file, and then you specify the correct name here, and you can include your own partial views as well. So if you're including something that you've created specifically for your client or your company, you can do that as well using this HTML action. So that's all there is to just modifying view sets. I'm going to cut that one short for right now because we're running low on time. I just real quick going to add another project to the site, and that is the custom order workflow. Oops. And so the same thing here, I'm just going to take all these files. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Make sure I'm in the right place. Just add them to my development site, and at this point I can open up that particular project. And so I'm going to go ahead and do so. There it is. So it's my workflow. You can, of course, change the name of those. Yeah, that's fine. All right, and so when this one opens, you don't have to do anything to set it up. Like the last one, I just had to copy and paste something. But at this point, you have a custom workflow, and one of them is already uncommented, but the rest of the 12 are not. They're all commented out. So you only need to override the ones that you want to override. And each one of them, what you're going to see in here, are the tasks that already run. So if you want to even inspect all the different tasks that run at those different steps, this is one place where you can go look to see that. You can also see in our documentation. But at any point, like for example, if I didn't want it to create DNN users, I can comment that out, and that might be my change. Or you can see that we have some tasks that are created in here that are new, that are samples for you to use, and you can inject those as well. And so whenever you do anything, you can make your changes, you can force an update of the order, and different things like that. So if I were to open up my order workflow task, let me go ahead and open that up. So this one, you can see that this one, all it does is going to add a note to your order, and so you can go ahead and have that do that. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'm not going to make any changes to this. I had a plan to kind of do a mock API thing because I have like a sample class in here. I was going to be like, hey, here, let me call my API. I'm just going to go ahead and build this as soon as I change where it builds to. I'm going to have this build to my website. And so I'm not going to even have to move the DLL. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild it. But for your production environment, when you deploy this, you just move the DLL. That's it. So rebuild succeeded. And so now if I come into over here into the store administration, we can come over to extensibility and choose that workflow. So for now on, that workflow will be used. While I'm here, though, I do want to point out that there's also the REST API. And so the REST API is disabled by default. All you have to do to enable it is go in there and click to create a key. And at that point, it's enabled because you have a key to use. So there is some security behind it. But we have the extensibility. I'm just going to go ahead and choose that real quick. Of course, there's going to be a little reload. This one's expected, though. There we go. And so there's also the product integration points, but we didn't do any code for those. But now under the order workflow, we can choose ours and save the changes. And so now the next time an order is created, it's going to execute the task or tasks that we've created. And that's all there is to it. Literally the only code that you have to write is the code that talks to those other APIs. That's it. Now for the design portion, of course, that's going to probably be a lot more work because your customers always have this thing in mind. They want it to look like this particular picture that they have in their mind. So that's going to always be a design thing, and you're already used to that just through your regular project. Now there's lots of other things. We could literally spend a couple hours on this, but I'm going to end this up real quick. Let me go ahead and finish this off. So I already talked about social. This is, of course, a commercial license. So Hotcakes is $16.99, a one-time fee. It's a perpetual license, and it's per domain name, per server, per URL, per server. So if you have a web farm and it's one store, it would basically be a license per server. And so if you want to upgrade, there is an upgrade fee for major releases. So right now we're still on the version 1 branch, and so you won't have to pay an upgrade fee until whenever the point comes that we decide that there's a version 2. And right now we don't have plans for a version 2, so you get upgrades for the time being. If you want paid support, we do have that as an option. So basically that's your insurance policy. So if something goes wrong, you can say, hey Will, everything's wrong and fix me, and we're required, of course, by SLA to give you a very specific response time. But if you don't want support, we do have community support on our website, which is free. And so you'll be able to ask questions, get answers, and it's a very active place. So with that, I do want to end up with this. I wasn't able to show you everything because we had page load issues, unfortunately. But you can see there's a coupon code up there. There is a, for the event, we're giving a 10% discount for anybody that wants to have Hotcakes and just use DNN Connect 2014 as your coupon code, and that'll get you in there. And I haven't had any questions. Nobody wants the lunchbox. Oh, Mr. Darren. I only got part of that, unfortunately. Can you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Have you got the approach to marketing automation? So
oh.
Your promotion.
Yeah.
Sorry, your promotions before.
Yeah.
If you were doing really well on a given set of promotions, would you be able to then send out mail shots?
So that would be something. So the question was, are we doing anything with marketing automation? And that is actually a fantastic question. So that's your lunchbox. Are we doing anything with marketing automation? If you're not familiar with marketing automation, it's basically a software practice where, if, based upon activity, you're able to steer and personalize content in some cases, or change the way you market to particular visitors. That's kind of a boiled down version of it. It gets a lot more complicated than that. But as far as do we have it, marketing automation built in? No, but it's the typical DNN developer story. You can definitely add it and just be a little bit of code.
If you've got something like an external monitoring system like Hotcakes,
do we have what again?
You know, an external monitoring solution, so you can have a dashboard that is displayed on, say, for example, a wall.
Oh.
You can have a separate client access and you.
If I heard that correctly, do you have access to like create a dashboard for like maybe like in somebody's like front office, like will they walk by and see the health of the store, that type of thing? Yeah. Yeah, so you can create any type of data-driven views that you want, either within Hotcakes, but more importantly, with the REST API, you can do that through any type of application. So if you're, building some sort of maybe that's a kiosk or something like that, or whatnot, you can absolutely do that, with a little bit of code. Just export for the range that you want, the particular orders that have closed within X time, and you'll be able to create those with whatever graphs that you want. Oh, like errors?
Yeah, it's when you run out of product and
Yeah.
flag that can't and say, you run out of product, you need to order more, try to order more.
Yeah. So something that our current customers don't know, and this is the first time this is being spoken out outside of the office, but we have up until this point been collecting analytics for all existing customers. We've already had analytics in the store, so we already know about cart abandonment. And we, in one of our upcoming releases, we're actually going to be surfacing that in the UI. So you'll be able to see those, you'll be able to find those, and take action upon those. So while there's no way for you to see that right now in the UI, through the API you can actually grab that information and take action upon it because it already exists.
So you're going to have to be able to plot user journeys through the process as well. So you'll be able to see which page you went to, where
we take, so that's actually, that's part of the analytics as well for two reasons. One, so we can see the workflow, and so you can see where they dropped off in the timeline. And the other reason for that is also for the social aspect. And so you can give people points based upon which actions they took in the store. So like every time somebody views a product, they might be able to get a point or however you set it up. So you can actually, yes, you can see that information as well. That data is being stored, and so you can access it. Yeah. I only have one lunchbox for you, dude. Any other questions? No? All right. Well, thank you for coming. If you want to see anything else at all, feel free. I'm gonna be around here. I can do more demos. If you need more formal demos to yourselves and customers, or maybe you want to know how to implement this yourself, feel free. You have my card and my information. I'm not hard to find, I'm willing to talk to you, your customers, at any given point. So let me know what I can do to help you, and we'll build some business together. Right? Yes, sir.
Hotcakes needs a book content or can run?
Oh, no. Yeah, you can run it on platform just fine, Community Edition. In fact, everything you just saw, it's all Community Edition, but it runs just fine on the other ones as well. So we do QA against both platform and social, since we have specific features for both. We don't do QA and evoke content because there's nothing in content that we're actually developing against. So yeah, feel free to just use platform. Yes, sir. UK customers, no, but we have UK developers using it. So it's a great question. The whole reason I'm here is to kind of get the European market aware that this exists, for one, but also I've been talking to people to get feedback and things to see how it does or does not work for you, because that's why we started to add localization. Is we definitely want to appeal to the European market, but we need to figure out where the holes are that we didn't figure it out already. We think we've done a pretty good job of that already, but we already know that we didn't do a perfect job, because there's no such thing. And especially since most of our developers are either in Europe or India, they have a very well-known problem themselves of things that they run into on sites, and so they do a far better job of that than I would. So if you run into things, please feel free to go to our website. Hotcakescommerce.com, and there's a community section, and go ahead and ask any question. Oh, this is not going to come up. I shouldn't even try to do this, but there's a community section there, so if you want to ask questions there as well, you can feel free. Myself or another person might answer you. We have a lot of community members that are system implementers. They answer questions as well, so you can go there and get more information as well. Yes, sir.
Maybe I haven't missed it in the starting of the speech, but where does the Hotcakes thing came from?
So he's wondering where the name Hotcakes comes from. It's a fun thing, isn't it? So I'm not sure if this saying translates over to Europe at all, but in America especially, we have this saying, that's going to sell like hotcakes. And so that's where this name came from. So it's surprising that the name didn't already exist for something else already, but that's why that we're named Hotcakes. And so it's a very fun thing too, because we can get very creative at conferences with this. And we have. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Is there any way to integrate different kind of shipping
So if you want to know if there's any way to integrate shipping, so can you give me an example of like what you mean by integrate shipping? Is like a new shipping provider?
In Germany, you have like sort of a shipping where it's actually you pay when your package comes to you. You have to pay an extra fee. Cash on delivery. Yeah.
Oh, cash on delivery. Okay.
Yeah, but there's like an extra fee of usually it's about €5 that you have to add to the order.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem because usually in American stores you don't have an option to add some kind of payment to the order depending on the kind of shipping that you use.
Yeah, so one of the things I wasn't able to show is that when you create a new shipping method, because you can create as many as you want, when you create that, you don't just say, I need my shipping to be this, or when it comes back from UPS, whatever, it's this value. You can also do a markup on it. So if you needed to add, let's say $5 for every single shipping order, you'd be able to say that as basically a handling fee.
Yeah, but not for every shipping order, it's depending on what type of shipping you choose.
Yeah, so...
what type of payment, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
What type of payment you choose.
Oh, so if you choose a certain payment, then the shipping gets a markup, and other times it does not. Okay, so that's a more complex question, but I do have an answer for you. But to the other part of the question I thought you're asking that other people might be thinking about is you can have multiple shipping methods. So each one of those, like there could be 3 UPS ones, and they might have different rules about them and different rates. And then one of them might have shipping and handling, the others don't. So you have that as an option. Now, for your answer, you can do that, but it would require two things. It would require a modification to the checkout view, because you would want to make sure that you surface that information to the customer, because otherwise they'll be upset that it's $5 less before they check out, and all of a sudden the receipt says $5 more, right? So you'd have to make a modification to that, and then you would want to take advantage of the action delegate pipeline, because when you click the button, you can perform that type of action to increase the value programmatically. But there's not within a shipping method there's no tie-in currently with between shipping and the type of payment chosen. If we find that that's something that's basically everybody needs, or a large amount of customers needs, we'll definitely add that. And the way that we do that, and I think I mentioned this before, but just real quick, the way that we do that is you can add the suggestions on our site in our community area, and as we find that these things are more popular or in more demand, and the other part of that is people contribute on that and they give their comments, and so it's basically our way of driving the roadmap, but in a way that fits you. So those types of things, please add those to our community area and make a suggestion, and that way everybody that has a store, they can help us get the right product requirements, instead of us saying, oh, you need that, and then we implement it and you're like, that's not what I was thinking. So please do add that as a suggestion, and we'll process that. Any other questions? Yes?
Is the source code on sale?
Say what?
Is the source code on sale?
Oh, yeah. Is the source code on sale? No, it's not. We don't have any plans in the future to sell the source code either. That's just that's a business decision, unfortunately.
Well, it's not open source. It's
not open source. No, this is a real live company. Yeah, we're trying to keep the lights on, unfortunately. We want to be able to afford to give people vacation time, because some of us live in America and we have to actually earn that. We never do. Yes, sir.
One more question: does the skin is including the bootstrap library for the responsive view?
It's a fantastic question. Unfortunately, I already gave away the.
Like all bootstrap or just part of it?
So there's two things for Bootstrap to work with Hotcakes, and so obviously there's the additional download that you can just install into your Hotcakes site, and it's already Bootstrap enabled. You just do your design to it. But in order for that to work, your skin, of course, needs to be Bootstrap as well. So we also provide a Bootstrap skin. And does anybody remember when, I think it was version 7 that came out, and there was a big thing like, hey, now DNN has Bootstrap in there. Anybody remember that as an announcement? Yeah. That was because of us. We're like, hey, we want DNN to be responsive out of the box, and what we really meant was we want Hotcakes to be responsive out of the box. So it is in there, and it is the full bootstrap. But it doesn't mean that it has to be. It's, of course, a skin. You can include whatever bootstrap you want in there. Any other questions? No? Well, again, feel free to contact me. Anything you need, I'm here for you. And thank you very much for sticking around. We're a few minutes over, so thank you.